A Vision of the Future by Charles D. Evans, 1893. While I lay pondering in deep solitude over the events of present, my mind was drawn into reverie, such as I had never felt before. A strong solicitude for my imperiled country utterly excluded every other thought and raised my feelings to a point of intensity I did not think possible to endure. While in this solemn, profound, and painful revive in my mind, to infinite surprise, a light appeared in my room, which seemed to be as soft and silvery as it diffused from the northern star. At a moment of its appearance, the acute feeling I had experienced instantly yielding one of the calm tranquillity. Although it may have been an hour of midnight, and although the side of the globe whereupon I was situated was excluded from the sunlight, yet all was light and bright and warm as an Italian landscape at noon. But the east was softer, or the subdued. As I gazed upward, I saw descending through my bedroom roof with a gentle gliding movement a personage clothed in white apparel, whose countenance was smooth serene, his features regular, and flashes of his eyes seemed to shoot forth scintillations, to use an earthly comparison, strongly resembling those reflected from a diamond under an intensely illuminated electric light, which dazzled but did not bewilder. Those large, deep, inscrutable eyes were presently fixed on mine, when he, instantly placing his hands upon my forehead, his touch produced an indescribable serenity and calmness, a calmness not born on earth, but one of peaceful delight and heavenly. My whole being was imbued with a joyful unspeakable. A feeling of sorrow instantly vanished. Those lines and shadows which care and sorrow impressed upon us were dispelled as a deep fog before a blazing sun. In the eyes of a heavenly visitor, for such he appeared to me, there was a short and lofty pity and tenderness, infinitely stronger than any such feeling I ever saw manifested in ordinary mortals. His very calm appeared like a vast ocean stillness, at once overpowering to every agitated emotion. By some intuition or instinct, I felt he had something to communicate to me, soothe my sorrow and allay my apprehensions. Whereupon, addressing me, he said, "Son, I perceive thou hast great anxieties over the perilous state of thy country, that thou soul hast felt deep sorrow for its future. I therefore come to thy relief and tell thee of the causes that have led to this peril. Hear me attentively." My vision now became extended in a marvelous manner, and the import of past labors of the elders was made plain to me. I saw multitudes fleeing to the place of safety in our mountain heights. The church was established in the wilderness. Simultaneously, the nation had reached an unparalleled prosperity. Wealth abounded, new territory was acquired, commerce extended, finance strengthened, confidence was maintained, and peoples abroad pointed to her as the model nation. The ideal of past realized and perfected, the embodiment of liberty sung by the poets and sought by the sages. But, continued the messenger, thou beholdest a change. Confidence is lost, wealth is arrayed against labor, labor against wealth. Yet the land abounds with plenty for food and raiment, and silver and gold are in abundance. Thou seest also that the letters written by a Jew have wrought great confusion in the finances of the nation, which, together with the policy of many wealthy ones, has produced distress and to do presage further sorrows. Factions now sprang up, as if by magic. Capital had entrenched itself against labor throughout the land. Labor was organized against capital. The voice of wise sought to tranquilize these two powerful factors in vain. Excited multitudes ran wildly about. Strikes increased. Lawlessness sought the place of regular government. At this juncture I saw a banner floating in the air, whereupon was written the words, bankruptcy, famine, floods, fire, cyclones, blood, plague. Mad with rage, men and women rushed upon each other. Blood flowed down the streets of cities like water. The demon of bloody hate had enthroned itself on the citadel of reason. The thirst for blood was intenser than that of perched tongue for water. Thousands of bodies lay untombed in the streets. Men and women fell dead of terror, inspired by fear. Rest was but the precursor of bloody work of the morrow. All around lay a mournfulness of past and ruins. Monuments erected to perpetuate the names of the noble and brave were ruthlessly destroyed by combustibles. A voice now sounded aloud these words, "Yet once again I shake not the earth only, but also heaven." And this word once again signifies the removing of things that are shaken, as of things that are made, that those things cannot be shaken may remain. Earthquakes rent the earth in vast chasms which engulfed the multitudes. Terrible groanings and wailings filled the air. The shrieks of the suffering were indescribably awful. Water wildly rushed in from the tremulous ocean, whose very roaring under the mad rage of the fierce cyclone was unendurable to the ear. Cities were swept away in an instant. Missiles were hurled through the atmosphere at a terrible velocity, and people were carried upward only to descend in unrecognized mass. Islands appeared where ocean waves once tossed the gigantic steamer. In other parts, voluminous flames emanating from vast fires rolled with fearful velocity, destroying life and property in destructive course. The seal of dread, menace, and despair was stamped on every human visage. Men fell exhausted, appalled, and trembling. Every element of agitated nature seemed as a demon of wrathful fury. Dense clouds, blacker than midnight darkness, whose thunders reverberated with indentations which shook the earth, obscured the sunlight. Darkness reigned, unrivaled and supreme. Again the light shone, revealing an atmosphere tinged with a leaden hue, which was the precursor of an unparalleled plague, whose first symptoms were recognized by a purple spot which appeared on the cheek or on the back of the hand, which invariably enlarged until it spread over the entire surface of the body, producing certain death. Mothers on the sight of it cast away their children, as if they were poisonous reptiles. This plague, in grown persons, rotted the eyes from their sockets and consumed the tongue as would a powerful acid or an intense heat. Wicked men, suffering under its wrathful agonies, cursed God and died as they stood on their feet, and the birds of prey feasted on their carcasses. I saw in my dream the messenger again appear with a vial in his right hand, who addressed me, said, "Thou knowest somewhat of the chemistry taught in the schools of human learning. Behold now a chemistry sufficiently powerful to change the waters of the sea." He then poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became putrid as the blood of dead men, and every living soul therein died. Other plagues followed, which I forbear to record. The foreign power had invaded the nation, which, for every human indication, it appeared as if it would seize the government and supplant it with monarchy. I stood trembling at the aspect, when lo, a power arose in the west, which declared itself in favor of the Constitution in its original form. To this suddenly rising power, every lover of constitutional rights and liberties throughout the nation gave hearty support. The struggle was fiercely contested, but the stars and stripes floated in the breeze, and bidding defiance to all opposition, waved proudly over the land. Among many banners I saw was one described thus: "The government based on the Constitution now and forever." On another, "Liberty and conscience, social, religious, and political." A year later, the LDS First Presidency published another vision for all of the church membership to read and ponder. It also talked about the coming future bad times, specifically describing certain plagues, especially a plague associated somehow with pork.